Have you ever wondered if your ADHD has affected your romantic relationships? Maybe the decision to get into the relationship or how you interact with your partner while in the relationship, or how many relationships you've had, or impulsive decisions you've made in the relationship? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to the Midlife ADHD Group Chat. My name is Maureen. I'm 62. I'm diagnosed with ADHD combined type. Had a very long neuropsych evaluation 3 years ago, and I was told that I check every symptom box on the hyperactive impulsive side as well as the inattentive side. So anyway, I joke that I always have something to talk about on this channel, it seems. Anyway, I thought today would be interesting to talk about, my own life, how ADHD has affected my relationships as I look back. And I decided just to focus on romantic relationships, but then we could talk about other relationships down the road too, of course. If I'm a little distractible, oh goodness. I forgot to take my medicine. So I have videos about this, that I will post up here. I am now on Vyvanse. I increased to 40 milligrams about 3 weeks ago from the starting point, which was 30. I find it very helpful. I don't think it's like wow over the top, but I definitely notice that it does help me focus more. Definitely helps me stay on track. So please forgive me, I did not take it. And when I remembered to take it, it was too late. Because unfortunately, if I don't take it by 11 at the very latest 11 in the morning, I won't fall asleep till 3 in the morning. So I have to take it, in the morning. So sometimes I skip it. That's a good thing about stimulants. You can just skip them if you need to, and it's safe, not like other psychotropic medication. Anyway, enough of that aside. So a little distracted. I thought this would be interesting to talk about. So I've had 4 significant relationships in my life, starting when I was, to protect people's privacy. I'm not going to get into very specific details. But I can definitely have a lot to talk about. And I think I'll just call them 1, 2, 3, and 4 relationships wise. Not necessarily in chronological order either. But anyway, I'm very careful about, I am a member of AA and I'm a former therapist. So I'm very careful about anonymity and people's privacy. But anyway, I have a lot to say. I've had a lot of, I'm 62 and, I've been in therapy many, many times. And right now I've been with a great therapist the past 3 years. And, I like to think I'm at this point a lot more self-aware than I used to be. I hope we all are, right, as we grow. That's kind of what we hope for, right? So anyway, so I looked up, oh, sorry, that was my phone chime. I looked up, I'm going to turn that down. My phone operates my camera, so I do need to keep it here. But usually I remember to turn off everything. So, I did look this up because as I've learned more and more about ADHD, oh my goodness, I am realizing how much it's affected so many decisions in my life. So many. I mean, I did a video about my jobs, my career, my college education, and how much ADHD, looking back, I think how much it affected me, and I will put that link up here. But it's also definitely affected my romantic relationships. What pops in my mind, if you just ask me, hey, Maureen, how has ADHD affected your relationships? I would say the first thing I think of is impulsive decisions, impulsive getting into the relationship, never mind, during the relationship. But that's the first thing that pops in my mind because I feel like I've made a lot of impulsive decisions in my life that I never realized was ADHD. And again, if you're new to this channel, I always knew I had ADHD. I studied psychology. And, within the first year or two of undergrad, I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. I talk a lot. I'm very hyperactive. I definitely have ADHD. I did not even realize the scope of it. And my symptoms have been much worse in menopause. That's just a quick summary. Okay, so this is what I looked up. This is what came up. And a lot of this was, they cited National Institute of Health, PubMed. So, good sources. Okay, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder heavily influences partner choice and relationship patterns by driving the brain to seek intense dopamine, novelty, and high stimulation. The neurological wiring frequently leads to fast-moving attachments, oh yeah, attraction to unpredictable partners, oh yeah, and difficulty navigating the quiet stability of long-term love. Okay, so that kind of summed up at first, especially my first couple of relationships, from late teens through my 20s, for sure. Oh yeah, I can see that. So how does ADHD impact relationship choices? Rushing in fast. Okay, so I'm going to take these one at a time. There's like five examples, I think. Rushing in fast. Impulsivity and massive early dopamine surges can make new crushes feel like all-consuming hyperfocus, causing people with ADHD to commit or move in before truly knowing a partner. My name should be plastered across that, especially, like I said, late teens through my 20s. Oh my goodness. Just not thinking. I remember my first one and just jumping in. I love you within a few dates. I know it's hard. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to be like, keep the anonymity, but also provide enough details, so I make sense. But, I'm just saying from my perspective, so, but, a very bad relationship, just bad fit. Okay. So, I am fortunate when I say a bad relationship, I'm not talking, thank God, I'm appreciative of this, overtly abusive or that kind of thing. Cause obviously that's, very bad, obviously. But, bad fit for me and me being a people pleaser with this person and kind of going against who I was. When this relationship was over, I'm very close to my oldest brother and my mom, God bless her, she's in heaven now, but they both said to me after the relationship was over, like, we noticed you gradually losing yourself and not being who you were or who you are. And that was true. And this again was my late teens to my middle 20s or thereabout, early 20s. Anyway, it was a 5-year relationship, I think. Anyway, not good. It just was unhealthy. It was, but it was so gradual and I didn't recognize, but I was very young and immature and, not experienced. And, but I remember how ADHD, I think, plays into this, and I'm just understanding this. So this is kind of a moving target here. Like, I'm kind of in real time figuring this out myself. But, it was, the first thing I think of is impulsivity. I was very impulsive getting into this relationship. I'm trying to think, did people like warn me or whatever? I don't know if people warned me, but they were like, slow down, that kind of thing. Like, my girlfriends, wow, that's really fast, or, take your time, or, and I was always like, oh no, I knew better, that kind of thing. I didn't think of consequences. I didn't think of long-term consequences or good fits. And it, especially in this first relationship, it was just, and, I think a lot of it was immaturity. It was my first, I was 19, right before I turned 20 when I met him. And it was a lot of, I think it was a lot of immaturity. This is my first serious relationship. And I just was immature. And I think that's kind of how I cracked it up to be. I never looked at ADHD, like how it affected my relationships really until recently. To be honest, doing this channel, I say this all the time, it's true. I am learning so much about myself doing this channel. And again, I really hope if anything I'm saying you can relate to, please chime in. That's how we learn, and that's how we help each other, by talking. Whatever you're comfortable with. I always say that, if you're comfortable. There's plenty of YouTube channels I go on. I don't say a word. But I really get a lot out of it. So, I also understand if you're not comfortable saying something. But, if you are comfortable, please say something. And always, please share. If you know of a woman that's in midlife and thinks she may have ADHD or has been diagnosed with it, and you think that this channel can help her, please share the channel, please. So definitely I felt that. I felt, I'm going to I guess what I'll do is just break down the relationship. So still talking about one, the first one. People pleasing and poor boundaries. So that I can relate to when I'm thinking back to my first relationship. Masking symptoms for years can lead individuals, especially women, to ignore their own needs, adapt entirely to what a partner wants, or tolerate poor treatment due to low self-worth. Sticking it out too long. Oh yeah, I can say that about 2 relationships, for sticking it out too long. But let me stay on this for a minute. So, I like to have everything in order. It helps keep me focused, so I'm fixing that. So it's bulleted. Anyway, people pleasing and poor boundaries. I've got to be honest, and maybe I really just am masking still, and I really have, I'm blocking this, but I didn't feel like I had low. I don't think I did. I never really felt low self-worth. I think I had such a good foundation. I've talked about this before. I was very fortunate to have a mom that was, pretty progressive in her child rearing skills. She was an RN, and we were very close, and she loved being a mom, and I just grew up feeling loved and accepted. I really did. So thank you, God. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm trying to think back, it was so many moons ago. I don't remember that I felt low self-worth, but I will say this. I'm thinking of behaviors. I people pleased. Oh, for sure. I just wanted to get along, they were right. I did change. I wasn't my outspoken self. I guess that's the biggest change for me in that relationship. And, I was more careful of what I said. I wanted to keep the peace, that kind of thing. And that kind of is not my nature. Not that I want everyone fighting or whatever, but in general, I'm not shy. If something I feel strongly about, I'm not shy to say it, even if it makes people uncomfortable. Or even if it makes me uncomfortable. So yes, that definitely affected me. And so I would say what stands out in the first relationship was definitely the people-pleasing, poor boundaries, can lead especially to ignore their own needs, and adapt entirely to what a partner wants. Oh, for sure. I basically did a lot of, his friend group became my friend group. You know what I'm saying? I kind of ignored my 2 girlfriends and was I did. Not kind of. I definitely did. And I became immersed in his world. Yes, for sure. For sure. And I'm aware of that I did that, but now it's kind of coming back to me how much I did it. I really did, because I remember apologizing to my 2 closest girlfriends after I left that relationship and saying, I'm sorry that, it wasn't an obvious thing in my mind. It was a more gradual thing, and anyway. So yeah, definitely the poor boundaries and the people pleasing. Oh, for goodness sake, yes. That really stands out to me. All right. And then that relationship ends. I almost immediately get into a second relationship. And again, I want everyone to be aware of this. I have always felt, and I'm looking back and I'm what you think you felt and your behavior tell 2 different stories. I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but sometimes I'm humbled because I think of myself in one way, but if I look objectively at my past behavior, it does not tell that picture. And I'm sure it's a defense mechanism on my part of oh no, I was this strong feminist, blah, 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 blah. Because I do remember feeling that way about myself. Actually, let me interject for a minute because this is actually pretty important. When I left that first relationship, I actually went into therapy for the first time because it hit me hard. And this therapist was a godsend. And you know, I'm going to get emotional. She really helped me. You know what she helped me do? And again, this was the late 80s, guys. The late 80s. I mean, we've come far. This was 30 years ago. And almost 30 years ago. Yeah. And she talked a lot about my childhood and my inner child needs. And I don't believe we called it inner child needs back then. I don't think so. Or inner child. But we talked a lot about that. And because I was so mad at myself for making a decision to stay with this guy. And she was wonderful. And she really helped me understand myself. You know, on such a deeper level than I had ever really thought about. Because at this point, I was not in psychology yet. I wasn't doing my undergrad yet. The following year, I started. But anyway, she was very helpful. So about when the one relationship ended, I'm trying to think the time span. It wasn't long. Maybe 7 months later, 8 months later, I get into another relationship again. Impulsive. And I also was drinking at the time. Too, you know, and when I say I was drinking at that time, I was extremely high functioning. I was going to college, I was waitressing, but I was drinking abusively when I was drinking, if that makes sense. So it's not like, oh yeah, I was drinking first thing in the morning at that time or anything like that. But it was, I think I've mentioned this. Well, I think I just mentioned in this video, in case you're lost here, have been in recovery for 22 years of alcoholism. So at that time, and again, this would be my early to mid 20s, I was not drinking a lot, but when I drank abusively, if that makes sense. You know, too much at once is what I'm trying to spit out, everybody. Okay. And so, you know, obviously that clouds your judgment too. Let's just say it that. But I used to look back at relationships and blame. Oh, yeah, it's because I was drinking. But why was I drinking so much? Now I'm realizing how much the ADHD and the brain all over the place was self-medication for my brain because my brain was seeking dopamine. And guess how you get dopamine, everybody? Well, drugs and alcohol for sure. You also get it from, you know, intense relationships. Okay, so second relationship starts. This one lasted 6 years. We literally broke up 6 times in 6 years. So if you do the math, that's not a very stable relationship, everyone. Okay, so at this point, I am now just about starting college. Again, third time starting college. And back home, living with my parents, waitressing. And I wasn't looking for a serious relationship. I really wasn't. I was just like, oop, had that, no thanks. I just want to have fun. And I did. I had a lot of fun. A lot of fun with this guy. And this guy presented himself as not husband material and not father material for future children. And I knew that and was fine with it. All along. I can honestly say that I never had an idea that, oh, this is the love of my life. We're going to get married one day and have kids. I never felt like that. But I also was very ambivalent about getting married and having kids, to be honest with you. I was like, yeah, maybe I want to, maybe I won't. You know, it's kind of like one of those, like, if it falls in my lap, then I'll know, you know, I was a believer in fate. You know, if it falls in my lap, whatever. Anyway, so guy number 2, boyfriend number 2. Oh, boy. So what really stood out? Oh, my God. Okay. So it's kind of interesting reading this article and now punching in which relationship fits. Woo. Because they kind of all filled a need for me at the time that is definitely related to ADHD, which, you know, again, I'm definitely going to have to talk to my therapist. This will be a couple of sessions talking about this. Craving high drama. Oh, God. The ADHD brain can mistake chaos, unpredictability, or turbulence for chemistry or passion, making steady and healthy relationships feel boring by comparison. Okay, those 2 sentences, that's all you need to know about relationship number 2. That, again, went on for 6 years, broke up 6 different times. The drama, the tears, the breakup, the passionate makeups. We even went to therapy together. He was dying for me to come back, and I said, well, we need to go to therapy if that's the case. And we did. And, therapy was helpful. This particular therapist was very, very good. And I don't recall that we went many, many times, maybe 4 or 5 visits. But we always had a passion for each other, right? So we definitely had a romantic passion. But, no stability at all. No stability at all. And, you get to be in your late 20s and, early 30s, you want stability. Or at least I did at that point, finally. But yeah, it was all about the craving high drama. Nothing was boring about it. But it was also heart-wrenching, lots of tears, not getting along, always knowing on some level that he was, I hate to sound like this, but, beneath me. Like as far as ambition goes, as far as, making the world a better place. Not that I'm making myself like, wow, but, at this point I'm in school, I'm in psychology, I'm planning to go to get my master's degree in social work. And, I'm working with, needy people, and, I start to grow up and mature, to be honest with you, and kind of like really open my eyes about, no, it's okay. At that time, I felt, it's okay to date someone and not be looking for husband material. That's fine. I'm young. Let me enjoy myself, whatever. But then I opened my eyes the last couple of years of our relationship, and I was like, I want something. I either want to be alone. I don't want the drama. I'm too freaking tired, everybody. So this brought me to like 30. I think I was 31, maybe 31, something like that. And I was like, yeah, I want something. I want something better, or I don't want anything. That kind of thing. And so that relationship was over. And then again, I'm trying to do the math here. I'm actually good with dates, so I'm doing them. 6 months later. Oh no, 5 months. 5 months later. Meet relationship number 3. And in the meanwhile, I'm telling myself, I'm studying women's studies. I'm feeling like this big feminist. And it doesn't, when I say this, it doesn't mean I was a big old faker, right? I mean, people are complex. I mean, I was studying women's studies. I did ascribe to a lot of feminist beliefs. I was also raised by, I would call my mom a feminist, to be honest. For surely like a humanist, she believed in equality and that kind of thing, and I certainly did too. But again, I don't think my behaviors were reflective of that belief, if that makes sense. So I guess that's masking, everybody. There you go. I need to study masking and really look at my behaviors, because I think I masked so much more than I realized. We are who we are, right? All we can do is be better. Try to be better and learn. Okay, so relationship number 3, real nice guy. Great guy. He was another guy. He was another guy. He liked to party, and I never thought of him as husband material, but he was a really nice guy. Like, we all got along. My friends really liked him. The guy number 2 was a bit antisocial. He didn't go out with my friends very much. And, but this guy did, and he was a lot of fun, and he was a good guy, like a real nice guy, But he also was at this point in his life, I suspect he had ADHD. I'm just thinking of it now, to be honest. I never thought of it before, but now that I think of his behaviors and stuff, he was very impulsive himself. So we went out. I never thought of that relation, but I wasn't looking for a husband and kids, to be honest with you. And so, I think this relationship was, let me look. We didn't have a high drama. Impulsivity and massive early dopamine surges can make new crushes feel like all-consuming hyperfocus. Okay, that was more 2. 1 and 2 were the hyperfocus part. So number 3 was, let me see. Oh, I think this one. The Novelty Crash. When the initial 6 to 24 month chemical high of a new relationship fades, isn't that interesting? The sudden drop in stimulation can trick the brain into thinking the love is gone. Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah, so I'm trying to really think. Nothing's standing out for number 3 that really reminds me. Do you like how I figure this out in real time? You guys are probably like, huh? Sticking it out too long. Oh, God. I would say that I did that with 1, 2, and 3. Ironically, despite the pull toward novelty, executive dysfunction makes the logistics of breaking up, untangling lives, and managing change so overwhelming that people often stay in bad relationships far past the point of health. Oh yeah. All 3 that I'm talking about. And then number 4 is my present relationship, and ups and downs with that one too. But that's a marriage, and produced a beautiful child who's not a child, she's 26. But you know what I mean. And definitely ups and downs, and definitely ADHD I could see in my present relationship too. But let me just finish up with number 3. So number 3 was more, I don't look back at it as like a lot of drama. I don't look like, I think fortunately I also had matured and learned more about myself at this point. So this is my early 30s. And I also, at this point, I'm in graduate school for social work, and I had done 4 years of my bachelor's degree, taken a year off at that point, and then went to grad school. And I'd been working in the mental health field at that point when I met this guy for probably 5 years. So, I like to, and been in therapy, so I like to think I knew a lot more about myself at this point. And so, so I have no bad feeling. The first 2 I did, a lot of bad feelings and a lot of, well, I was going to say drama, but trauma and drama. So, yes, I had no bad feelings about number 3. I think he was, a good guy. And just, our relationship kind of fizzled out, and that's what happens. But I didn't, so I can't. The only thing that really raises a red flag for me with this relationship was what I had done with the other 2. Jumped in way too fast. Like, really, I don't remember the exact timeline, and I felt it. It wasn't like I was faking this. I really felt it at the time. Like, I love you very early on. I mean, I really can't remember. It might have been the 4th or 5th or 6th date, maybe. And I felt it at the time. But just, everything was rushed. Everything was, I wasn't like taking my time. It was very ADHD impulsivity. I mean, I look back, not so much the past 15 or 20 years, I would say. But before my first 40 years of life, well, that's interesting because I've been sober so I got sober at 40. I feel like I was so impulsive. Oh my goodness. If there's 2 adjectives I could say about myself in regards to ADHD is impulsivity and disorganization or unorganized. For sure. That's how I've always defined it. Okay. Lastly, the 4th relationship. And so this one ended, and maybe a year later. I know I like to get it right. I know more than a year later. I meet number 4. And so anyway, and this is my present relationship. And this one's been more stable without, well, I mean, we've had our ups and downs, I think every marriage does, for sure. But I'm trying to think ADHD-wise. I don't think it's been. I'm just making sure that we're filming here, everyone. We are. My phone operates my camera. But, definitely ups and downs. But this also was a very impulsive relationship, everybody. Jump right in. I think it was our 3rd date. I love you. I love you. Let's get married. I mean, we literally, our 3rd date, started planning our marriage, our wedding. I'm not kidding. No, I think it was our 2nd date, actually. Anyway, very impulsive. And, I don't think that, I definitely did not recognize this as ADHD. I definitely did not. I thought of this more as, wow, I feel passionate. That's just who I am. I'm a passionate person. I can make decisions quickly. Like, I kind of thought that was a good thing in some ways. It was only after the fact I'd look back and go, and it's really, because really, this fourth relationship is, I look back and that was even faster than the other ones in some ways. So I'm like, wow. So I'm trying to think if I'm like, misunderstood behavior, forgetfulness. Partners often misinterpret them as lack of care. Oh, okay. Oh, God. Oh, yes. So we can talk about other. In my fourth relationship, which has been 27 years now, 28 years, we can talk about, misunderstood behavior, forgetfulness. Oh, God. Oh, hello. I'm being very careful about what I say because I am trying to, I'm all about anonymity. But I'll talk about from my side. My forgetfulness, my time blindness. And this is one thing you learn in program in AA. And even though I don't go to meetings, I occasionally do an online one. I am very much, I have the AA philosophy in my brain. And, one thing you learn is like, they used to have a saying like, take care of your side of the street or something like that. It's like, focus on yourself. And like, and I try to remember to do that. It's very easy to focus on, oh, my husband did this and he bugs me and he did that. But, I need to focus on me. So I'm going to focus on me when I'm talking about this. Misunderstood behavior. This is like one of the common relationship dynamics in ADHD. So I can relate to this. So again, fourth relationship, which is my present one, been going on for 28 years. So this I can relate to with this relationship. Misunderstood behavior, forgetfulness, time blindness, zoning out during conversations. Oh my God, I'm wicked guilty of this. Oh my God. My husband is a very trivia guy. Oh, Lord help me. And I'm, I like to think I'm titillating and so interesting. And I'm sure he's saying, oh God, the stuff you talk about's boring too. But it's so funny how you don't think like that. You think you're so interesting and the other person is boring. He talks about and he always loves to talk to me before I've even had coffee. So because he's a morning person, I'm not. And he's always up like 2 hours before me. So I'm trying to make coffee and my brain's half awake and he's telling me about trivia or something. He'll go on and on. And I'm sure people can relate. So this stood out to me. Misunderstood behavior, forgetfulness, time blindness, or zoning out during conversations are driven by executive dysfunction. Like my brain needs stimulation, especially in the morning. I haven't had my coffee, haven't taken my stimulant medication. Oh God, no dopamine there, honey. Yeah, I just zone out while he's talking. I'm like, oh God, I hope he's not telling me anything important that I have to remember because I won't remember what he said if you're talking to me first thing in the morning. But partners often misinterpret that as a lack of care. Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. Like I really have to, I make a concerted effort. Well, this applies to friends too and coworkers. But I was going to say my adult daughter and my husband. I really try to listen because I can get what I call bored easily. It's obviously executive dysfunction. To me, it feels like boredom. Like if you're talking too long. And the irony is I'm the one in the house that goes on and talks too long. So hello, I know. A lot of irony, a lot of contradictions, I'd say, with ADHD. Let me see if anything else is. Rejection sensitivity, intense emotional reactivity to perceived slights or criticism. Oh God, this fits so much. Again, I like to think I matured as I went along, you guys, and had more self-awareness in my relationships. So a lot of this that I'm reading pertains to, a lot of it like jumps out at me for relationships 1 and 2. So I think I have gotten better. So yay for me. Oh my God, rejection sensitivity, intense emotional reactivity to perceived slights or criticism can trigger defensive cycles or conflict avoidance. So I would say the 1 and 2, conflict avoidance for 1, for sure. Number 2 was defensive cycles. Oh my God, for sure. I look at that. There was so much drama, especially in 2. so much drama in that one that I really fed off of. I must have been getting dopamine hit after dopamine hit and having no idea. But for sure, relationship 2 was like that. Oh my goodness, for sure. And you know what? This is something interesting that, I tend to talk to my therapist about present day stuff because there's always something. And believe me, when you have every single symptom of ADHD, not looking for sympathy, but I give myself sympathy, there is a lot to talk about in 1 hour. I'm reviewing my week and what went on, and I always have something to talk about. And so, but I would be very interested to devote some of my therapy hours to talk about my relationships, because I think I just scratched the surface, everybody. I think that I could dig, and learn so much more about myself looking at the relationships. So, that's something I'm going to write a note, because I won't remember. I'm not kidding. I'm actually going to write a note, if you all don't mind. Relationships. Okay, just 3 words that'll remind me. Come next week to talk. I want to devote some time to this. I think it's super important. Of course it is. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to do, a quick video. I don't think it was that quick, but on how romantic relationships, and how ADHD has affected my romantic relationships. And the thing that really pops out for me is getting into the relationships. I think, for me, ADHD, it was all ADHD. It was all dopamine-driven, impulsive decisions. And I put decisions air quotes because I don't feel like they're decisions. I think it's like your brain's chemicals are making the decisions for you. So I don't even think it was conscious. I really do think that. I think I got much better as I went along. Definitely 1 and 2 were extremely impulsive. But 3 and 4 were to a degree too. They were very fast, but 1 and 2 for sure. But that's going to be an interesting thing. I do want to devote some therapy hours. I'm very interested in learning about myself. And it's humbling. I'm sure we all know this, right? It's very hard to look at ourselves and be critical of ourselves, isn't it? I mean, I'll speak for myself. Very hard for me, everybody. And I think the older I've gotten, the more, partly this is true. The more I've gotten myself together, I have for sure. Definitely getting sober was a big part of it 22 years ago. But I have gotten myself together, and I do feel like I've got it together as well as any human can, to be honest with you. But then, I don't know, I am not, I still get angry and still get, and frustrated, and, I have a lot of symptomology still. And so, I'm a work in progress like we all are, I guess, right? I'm just trying to get better. Like one of the ladies I used to take care for. We're getting better. How'd she word it? She was adorable. Day by day. She used to say day by day in every way. I love that. That stays with me all these years. So I'm trying to get better day by day in every way. I love that. Okay, everybody. Until next time.